What is going on, Yeti Clan? It is Yetzi, and we're going to be getting right back into our reaction of Asmongold reacting to Blizzard's announcement of Dragonflight. This is going to be part 2. Excuse me. Again, as a disclaimer, as I said in the first one, if you are sensitive to anything relating to just foul language, take note. That's your disclaimer. Either you can click off the video, whatever, it doesn't matter to me. Excuse me, man, something is in my throat. But anyway, so yeah, just something to keep in mind. We're going to keep rolling in, and I'm going to try not to pause it as much, because clearly in the last video, that was like over 30 minutes long, and we only made it 12 minutes in. So. Alright, so let's get into it.
Coming.
No, it's not coming.
Who could
Carefully
have
kept
guessed?
secret. But seriously, I mean,
That
what
was
did we just
badass.
see there?
The awakening of the Dragon Isles, the return of dragons, the dawn of a new age. Right, we've seen Rathian searching for his father's legacy, searching for the Dragon Isles. There's a reason why he hasn't been able to find them until now.
Rathian's
The
one of my favorite
beacon going
characters.
off. Is that summoning the dragons?
It is removing the concealment that had hidden the Dragon Isles from the world, but also beckoning the dragons back urgently.
See, another thing right there. They just said it. He removes the concealment and beckons them back to come back urgently. In WoW's lore, in the game, at least from what I know within the game itself, those dragons, they ain't flying so fast where they're coming from Northrend and in Dragonblight from the Vermeris Temple or wherever they are to these Dragon Isles within a 15-minute or 15-second time span of that beacon being closed and that golem dude falling. It ain't happening. Just saying. Sorry, that's my little rant. If you watch the first one, you know how much that agitates me.
In a time of need.
I assume pretty good variety of locales within the Dragon Isles. It's
Yes.
Yeah.
The Dragon Isles, as kind of standard for WoW expansion, consist of 5 zones, 4 standard leveling zones, and a new starter zone that we'll get to in a second.
That's
Can you
good.
talk a little
I
bit
like
about
that.
how the team found ways to thread the dragon aspects throughout the environments?
The Dragon Isles are a place that is lush and primal, bursting with elemental energy. As Azeroth herself reawakens, those primal forces are expressed throughout the environment, whether it's magma activity, volcanic activity, whether it's
I
the
like
icy
that.
wastes
That
of
looked
the
cool.
Azure Span. And each one of those has a connection to
Ooh.
a dragonflight that we've seen before. And it's going to be an amazing
Ooh,
place
I love
for players
that.
to arrive at and explore.
all right. You know I'm going to ask.
That
Yeah,
looks
okay,
nice.
so-
Can I be a dragon?
Let's start getting into some features here and what Dragonflight means for you, as well as just a place. First off, yes, we have an all-new playable race, the Drakthir race.
What the fuck?
This is a dragon
Holy
draconic
fuck!
race, but dragons in Warcraft have the ability to take on a
What?
humanoid form.
What classes can they be?
They have unique abilities.
Okay, I have to stop it here. Well, hold on. Before I get into it, I'm just gonna let it play out.
As literally a dragon. That doesn't quite fit any of our existing classes. And so what we're doing is this is not just a new race, but it's also a new class. You know, adding a new race to World of Warcraft, and not just an allied
What?
race, is something that we don't do lightly.
Holy
But
shit.
telling this expansion, this story, so focused
It's a
around
dragon
dragons,
class too?
felt like the perfect time for it. So if you are a Drakthir, you will be the Evoker class. Drakthir can only be Evokers, Evokers can only be Drakthir. And the reason why only a Drakthir could be an Evoker is that an Evoker is really combining the ability to call upon the magic of the different aspects.
That's a ballsy
with the
decision.
unique physical
That's
gifts that a Drakthir
very
has.
ballsy.
The ability to actually take flight and do an Onyxia style, strafing deep breath over the battlefield, land on the other side,
Okay.
knock everyone back with a wing buffet, and then unleash your magical abilities.
Yes, please.
The Evoker has 2 specializations. They're a hybrid of either range DPS or healer. And they wear male armor. We figured, you know, with the new hero classes
Perfect.
added over the years, we have enough melee. We don't need more
Oh,
of
that's
those.
so good.
That's perfect.
And
Yeah.
also probably don't need any more leather wears.
The raid leaders are going to love you for that.
Exactly. This is definitely
Yeah.
a hero class. And so that means that, you know, like the Death Knights before them or Demon Hunters, they will be starting level 58, and then they're going to have a new starter zone. So they're going to have a slightly different journey into the Dragon Isles as opposed to
Okay.
the rest of us that are sailing there from other parts of Azeroth.
That would make
Can you talk
sense.
a little bit about the customizations? Like what is going to be able to identify?
Okay, I'm gonna stop it here. A few things to point out is quickly just gonna run through what I noticed as I watched this. Is one, the first thing is let me see if I can find a good clip. Okay, yes, here is the drag there. Really, I think it's a cool, really cool concept, and I've been wanting something similar to this for years now. And WoW, ever since they announced the first hero class being the Death Knight, and then finally in Legion we got the Demon Hunter. Personally, I think it should have come a lot sooner, but I digress, not the point. One of the big takeaways I have issue with is the character models that they put out. It looks a little, it doesn't seem like it meshes well within the rest of World of Warcraft. Like if you were to take this class and say go up to Northern for some reason, or go over to the Twilight Highlands, I personally don't feel like it just meshes well with the rest of the game. At least in this form. Now, the form that it's going to show here in a little bit, again, I've seen the video before, and it looks much better. It definitely meshes much better. But this one, it just, something about it seems kind of like bubbly, kind of extra cartoony, and I don't know, when you see the other like dragon humanoid creatures in WoW, they seem a lot more visceral, a lot more tough, and this thing kind of looks like a little bit of a string bean. It's obviously borrowing from the Worgen or the skeleton for the Worgen, which I don't think is like, I think it's kind of dumb to do that. I have no problem with the Worgen. Worgen's kind of one of my favorite races in WoW, and especially from a lore standpoint, I think they're really cool. But I don't think it's cool. When you have such an impactful expansion like this one is trying to be, where it's changing a ton of things up, I don't think it's cool to go back reusing a skeleton. I think they should have made a new one. The model here that is portraying should be a lot more sharper, more draconic looking, and as far as the Evoker class go, it's literally just a range class that can either focus on DPS or healing. I don't like that. I think that's really dumb. We have so much, in fact, a ginormous chunk of the lore that we have as far as the dragons are concerned is, and the ones you come across in the game itself, are so many melee users. They will run in, they'll get messy, and yeah, they use their range attacks, breath, or whatever, and melee just uses magic and whatnot, which is all cool and fine. I think that what they could have done, and would have been a little bit cooler, is to maybe make it a bit more of a, hold on, cat wants in. But yeah, so I think it would have been better to have made this like a battle mage class. This has a lot more elements and hints of maybe like a shaman, or it's essentially the vibe I get is like a mixture of shaman and mage, which is fine. It's fine, but I think they would have been better to do something more akin to like a warrior mage build, where it just blends into something more like a red mage from Final Fantasy. I think that would have been a much cooler concept. I think people would probably enjoy that more. I think the reception has been pretty good as far as this class and race goes for the most part. But I have seen a lot of people having some of the similar concerns I have. I don't know. Maybe they should have made it that the new class itself, you instead of just having, it's just this one class and you have maybe 2 specs, a healing and a DPS, and except for maybe you like change your stance, and then it changes how your abilities work, and one can be either melee oriented or one could be range oriented, and then obviously healing's healing. I don't know. One thing that I can just kind of pick out right away is that how they're going to end up having like the space bar and stuff. I don't know if they talked about it yet, but I know they will if they haven't. How it's going to change the strength of the spells or how they work. I think that's really good. I do think that's going to end up creating a pretty high skill gap as you get into much higher levels within the game, because we've never had something like this yet. But once we do, people are going to start picking up on it. But I think that's cool. I think that's a really cool thing.
With a wing buffet, and then unleash your magical abilities.
Yes, please.
The Evoker has 2 specializations. They're a hybrid of either ranged DPS or healer. And they wear male armor. We figured, you know, with the new hero classes, we've got it over the years, we have...
That model right there. And that just may be the female one. But, seems very slender, seems very scrawny, not strong at all. So, I don't know. I don't think that's really good. I think, and it may be something that they're getting ready to get into in the customization. I can't fully remember, but we'll
Enough
see.
melee, we don't need more of those.
That's so good.
That's perfect.
And
Yeah.
also, probably don't need any more leather wearers.
The raid leaders are going to love you for
Good
that.
thing that they are
This is
doing
definitely
that.
a hero class.
They need to
and
do
so that means that, you know, like the Death Knights before them or Demon Hunters, they will be starting level 58, and then they're going to have a new starter zone. So they're going to have a slightly...
Don't like that. I'm cool with starting at level 58. In fact, I actually think what they should have do in this game is, because obviously it's going to go up to 70. I think they should just keep it at 60 and just have the new starting class or this new race or whatever just start at 55. Do 5 levels, get to 60, and then we just go through the story. There's no need to have this bloating of the levels again. We don't need to do that. You can just as easily have players go through the content in other ways. That's through incentivization, such as gear, gold, farming mats, whatever mounts. That kind of things can incentivize players to actually go and do the zones, while having to keep increasing the player level cap. I just don't. There's no need for it. A lot of players are burnt out of leveling. We've been doing it so long, so many times over. At some point, you need to just realize enough's enough. Like, these players have gotten all the way up to this cap. Why are we having to go to a new one arbitrarily? Games, there's plenty of other MMOs, there's plenty of other games that show that you don't have to do it that way. Yeah, it's cool from time to time to do it, but to do it every expansion, it gets really old and really just kind of gross feeling.
different journey into the Dragon Isles as opposed to the rest of us that are sailing there from other parts of Azeroth.
That would make
Can you talk
sense.
a little bit about the customizations? Like, what is going to be able to identify my Dracthyr character?
Basically anything and everything. You know, skin color, hair color, jewelry, tattoos, other adornments. You can make this character the expression of your identity in Azeroth.
Yeah, see the chest on the males right there. It seems very slender. Like it
Tell us
should be
about some of the system
wider,
updates.
buffer.
Of course, the new expansion
More
brings with
defined.
it
No.
new systems, new features. I think in recent expansions, one of the things we've tended to do is really have these deep features that were closely tied to a specific expansion that would then get left behind as we moved on. And we've heard loud and clear from players that you know it's kind of a bummer to start off every new expansion different journey into the Dragon Isles as a
New zone, new class, new race. Well, tell us about some of the system updates.
Yeah.
Of
course, the new expansion brings with it new systems, new
Updates,
features. I think in recent expansions, one of the things we've tended to do is really have these deep features that were closely tied to a specific expansion that would then get left behind as we moved on. And we've heard loud and clear from players that you know it's kind of a bummer to start off every new expansion by leaving a large part of your character behind, by leaving a large part of your progression behind.
Yes.
So this time around, what we're doing is really pouring all of our energy into permanent revamps, overhauls, and improvements to World of Warcraft's core systems.
Holy
Things
fuck!
Like our progression systems, in this case, our talent system.
Wow!
We want to completely revamp. We want to take a look at our UI. We want to take a look at profession.
What? So with the talent revamp and the
wait, I couldn't even
arrival
keep
of
track of that
Classic,
all.
Did you learn anything about how
What the
our
fuck?
talents work?
I think seeing a new generation of players play with those talents and work through those talent trees really underscored some of the things that, frankly, we lost when we shifted to the Mists of Pandaria style talents and beyond.
True?
A big
Yes.
piece of that was some of just the granularity, the feeling of getting a level and spending a point to customize your character to make yourself a bit better in some specific way. But also, you know, that sense of hybridity that you have, that's something that we've largely lost. And so the new talent system avoids directly pitting
I don't know how.
character to make yourself a bit better in some specific way. But also, you know, that sense of hybridity that you have, that's something that we've largely lost. And so the new
Okay, right here. I'm happy that we're going back to the old system where you could have a hybrid build. One of my favorite things was to play hybrid classes back in vanilla TBC and Wrath, and in Decada as well. That was cool. That was super cool. It was super fun to mix and match. Even if you weren't playing at meta, you could do little different fun things. Even if you're just on your own. The one thing that did suck is that you had to pay stupid amounts of gold to respec, and I'm glad that it's gone. It didn't need to be in the game. All it did was act as a hindrance to players and a cap on what players could do, which is not good. That's not fun. But that is a good that we're going back and that's a return. Now, however, if this is the setup that we're going to be seeing, where you have like the druid points on one side and the restoration points on one side, I don't know how that's going to work. Like, how do you do hybrid when it looks like this? Is it just going to be like you can toggle through the different menus, click one down at the bottom, and your druid points stay the same? And then you can like do the restoration points and then like the guardian points on one side and kind of mix those there. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to kind of see because the old system had like all your spells, all your talent trees laid out, and you just kind of pick and chose on one page. So kind of seeing this kind of dueling talent trees here. It's gonna be a little interesting. Maybe this is what they're referring to in the hybrid build. I don't know if that doesn't really that doesn't scream hybrid to me. That kind of just feels like you have more options, but you're still stuck in that spec and the points that are associated with it. Or maybe it's like some of the different things in here, like maybe, okay, well hold on, if I actually take a closer look, restoration, that looks like Soulfire or Solar Flare or whatever it is for Druid for balance. That looks like Rake, Maul. Okay, so maybe it is just on one thing and they're just condensing it down to this one talent tree for the Druid points. Okay, yeah, and this looks like the Boomkin form. So maybe it's like you can pick and choose these little things to enhance. Which is cool. I like that. But at the same time, that seems like a very, very picky kind of thing. Like, the talent trees don't look any too different. I don't know. It's gonna be kind of weird. It's gonna be weird to be like, yeah, let's click here, 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 or whatever. Or just druid points instead of, like, actually having a real hybrid class where you're doing, like, restoration over here, and then you're doing the balance over here. And you're still doing it, but it's just not the same kind of way that you would do it in the past. I think they should have maybe, if this is how they're doing it, which it does look like just by looking at the icons and looking at it closely, I think they should have just maybe kind of gone back to the old way and just had maybe you just be able to toggle through them at the very least, or just had all the trees just kind of displayed for you to kind of pick and choose from. I think that's kind of a little bit more fun and really gives you a stronger sense of being a hybrid class rather than just having, here are your druid talents, points, pick from these, and then you also have the restoration tree over here, or you have the guardian tree over here, and it's all this same stuff. That kind of seems a little dumb, if that is. I hope it's not. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm not reading this correct.
The talent system avoids directly pitting player power.
Yes, dude! Holy fuck!
Utility
Okay. Okay, yeah, it looks exactly like what I actually just said. So it looks like this is going to be where you can mix them. Like this is going to have something or a little bit of everything from every spec that a druid has, from balance, guardian, restoration, to feral. Looks like it's got a little bit of all of it. And then you have your restoration, but then you can kind of pick and choose which little things to enhance or add to your thing, to your bar, and to your abilities. Okay.
Hybrid choices because we know that there's always a
Oh my god!
And we also understand that, you know, there's a lot of
Bro,
strength
what
in
the
the
fuck?
flexibility of the modern combat system. A lot of
Yes,
players
dude!
customize their time
Yes,
for a
dude!
particular encounter or for dungeons versus PvP, and we don't want to lose any of that.
So John, UI?
Oh my God. Yes, I got this 30-inch monitor trying to keep track of where I am on the map, all my buffs, and over here,
Wait.
what's going on in chat. It has literally made my eyes go like this. So,
And you're not alone in that. We've made a lot of incremental changes and additions over the years, but really this is a
What?
revamp. This is an overhaul. And so we're excited to really modernize the look and feel
Good.
while staying true to
More
the
than
origins
anything,
This
of
could actually-
World of Warcraft.
More
At the
than
same time, we're not looking to
anything,
take away
the
the
UI
sort
WoW
of
has
power
made
user
overhaul for years.
customization there.
It's
Add-ons are
lagging
still there if you
behind
want them,
by
but we want a
like a
much
decade.
better
We can work on that.
default out-of-the-box
Ian,
experience
we
for
got
all
to talk,
players,
Ian.
new and old alike.
and can I reduce elements, remove elements, if I want to explore the world and see
Holy
the beauty
shit.
of
So that's the
Azeroth.
new
When it
game.
comes
Good.
to specific
We
elements, as
needed
much as
this.
possible, we want to let players
needed
choose
this.
what's
Oh,
shown,
wow.
what to
So-
hide,
Alright, I'm gonna
so
keep my
that they can
UI.
control it.
We needed more of this. Yes, it's good that we can still have our custom UIs, I hope. But you shouldn't have to have add-ons. And Asmon has said this before in his other videos, where he thinks that a lot of add-ons should just be nixed, or all of them together. I'm not in the all of them together camp, but there's no excuse. We shouldn't have things like weak auras. We shouldn't have things that just arbitrarily make the game more difficult and create a higher barrier to entry for the top end and for all these other things. Like, we didn't have those things to the degree that they exist now in modern WoW. Go back to Wrath, go back to Kata. You didn't have those things. You had gear score, like whatever, throw that out the window. That wasn't like a huge thing. It kind of sucked, and then they made item level, and that's a thing. And now it's fine. I don't like it, but it's fine. But when you get into these little minutia things of you have to have this, and this add-on if you want to play at all competitively, that kind of sucks. That's kind of dumb. Like, that's not fun. To go through all the things that you're having to go through just to be able to get to the point when you can actually play. Like, even just doing heroic, if you're not the best kind of player, there's plenty of guilds out there that require you to have all these, like, a spreadsheet of different add-ons that you have to have in order to be able to play with them. Those kind of things need to go away. I have not played Final Fantasy before, like Final Fantasy 14, but I've watched gameplay of Preach and Asmon streaming it. They don't have those things. They don't need those things. And I think that's really good for the overall core health of the game, is because it makes players have to be on a more equal level footing without having to immediately have things over here where you have like WoW logs where you can then go look through all these different things, pick out all the minor, like, oh, Timmy over here or Billy didn't press his death and decay at this, so we didn't DPS down the ad mobs, or the mobs for this boss or whatever, and that ended up creating the spell, then ended up wiping the whole raid. That sucks. Like, yeah, it makes sense, like, you shouldn't have to have that one little thing picked out, but also on the flip side, because Billy presses like death and decay, what everybody else was doing their AoEs shouldn't have immediately caused a wipe. And I don't know. I think those things just, they didn't arbitrarily make the game not fun. Yeah, it makes sense when you get to the top end, but even then, I don't think you should have to have all that in order to play at the top end. Like, the best in the world Mythic Raiders, I don't think you should have to have those type of add-ons, and they do.
I don't want to change
You
that.
mentioned
Yeah, mine's
profession.
been the same 15 years. Isn't that
I have
gonna
a
change?
critical question about this.
Okay.
Go on.
Man, I'm not
Can I
getting
wear a
very
chef's
far.
hat?
Yeah, I
I'd
knew
be
it.
quiet.
Our approach to
We are not
professions
making
in
it far.
Dragonflight
We are
is
almost
really
30
all
minutes in.
about delivering on fantasy and identity as a
Whoa.
crafter. And so, if
Whoa.
you want to be a serious blacksmith, if you want to be a great leather worker, we want to deliver the ability to
The
invest
costume and things, that's
time and
cool
energy
for like,
into that.
you know, the
become
role
a master
players.
crafter.
I don't think it
Be
really
able to
matters
make
in the
items
grand
that are
scheme.
in demand.
I never went out
interact
herding
with
or
the community.
mining or
One of the big
anything like
pieces
that.
that we
I'm
want
like,
to do
I
to
really
support
wish I
that
had a
is a new
miner's
work
hat.
order system to have a bit more
Whatever.
convenience than just spamming
okay.
trade chat all day.
Some people it's
but
gonna
if
be
you
super
are someone,
cool.
you're not
Me,
yourself a
okay.
blacksmith, but you have a bunch of mats and you want them forged into a great sword, you can put that work order up, list your mats, offer a commission,
What the
and a
fuck?
skilled blacksmith can come along and make you the weapon of your dreams.
Okay, last pause. Last big pause. That's really cool. What Ian's saying is where you can put commissions up or offer your services, probably in some kind of a trade window or chat window, when you're in a major city. Something probably like that. That's I'm assuming what he's wanting or saying that they're going to be implementing. I think that is really cool. WoW has needed something like that for a long time. It's going to shake up the auction house. It's going to make getting the items that you want easier and helping to make crafting more relevant because in the past it's going to be one of these things where you had to go back out to like the grind back in TBC, farm motes of fire, motes of shadow, and then get primal fire, primal shadow, and then like all these different components, and then you have to just sit there and shift through all these different things in order to find somebody who would be willing to craft it if you didn't have them in your guild or your friends list, and then you have to like do negotiation or haggling or whatever, and that's cool, and you can probably still do this, but at the same time you're gonna be able to like once you have all your stuff that you gathered, you're gonna be able to pop up probably a window and just see, oh, such and such characters offering the service for this amount of gold. Here's their skill level as far as the blacksmithing goes. You can kind of guesstimate maybe how strong the weapon is or how well the item's going to be crafted. If that is the case, then that's really, really good and really cool. Some people aren't going to like that, but I think that's really integral to a game, especially an RPG. Like if you go back and watch Sword Art Online, if you haven't, it's a great anime, go check it out. But there's characters in there that have different smithing levels and capabilities. That's really good. You need to have that in a game, especially one that, because MMOs are microcosms of real life that live within fantasy. Not everybody's going to be able to make the best sword. Not everybody's like, if you take two blacksmiths from around the world, they're not going to be able to make equally good swords. There's going to be some minor defects or some minor imperfections, and one here and there, like pros and cons. So being able to implement that into the game is going to be good, and you can keep it reduced because it is just an algorithm. You can take these certain little components out that you would have in real life that change things dramatically, and just have it down to like a little skill point. Or maybe they did this side quest that then lets them imbue this weapon with extra stats on it to make it better. That's going to be really good. One thing I hope Blizzard does do and builds upon the system that they're making. And then that, I think it would be really neat to have something where the best blacksmiths or the best tailors or whatever, where they can then accumulate enough gold, and maybe they can, like in their major cities or whatever city they pick, I think they need to do it this way. If they did do something like this, in whatever city that they pick, they can have a pop-up built-up shop. And the reason I say that is because there's so many other cities, like before Darnassus burned down, nobody went to Darnassus. Before like Undercity fell, not a lot of people were in Undercity or the Exodar or even Silverman. There's no need for it. Everybody just goes to the main hub. Instead, I think it would be good to let players who have these skill sets get to the point where they can then go buy their own little storefront in these shops. They can receive their work orders. If the players want to then go and talk or haggle or whatever, however they want to do it, they can then have to travel to that city, or even have it to where it's like, oh, the players offline who maybe requested the commission for that weapon, the smith or whoever goes, they takes it, they make it, and instead of them being able to just send it via like the mail or something, maybe they have like a little drop box or a station like on the front of their store where it's there, and the player who then ordered it, when they log in, they have to then go and pick it up. And then that gets players out in the world and engaging with each other, and that gets them talking to each other. Because maybe you go and you pick up that sword, and it's something super really cool, and you're in one of the starting zones, and you've got some crazy enchantment on it, whatever, you're rocking your cool armor, and then you've got these new players who come in, and they're coming out of their starting zones, and or whatever, their city, you'd have to do maybe a little rearranging or something, I don't know, because they did the whole new starting zone in general. But if they were to do something like that, that gets these new players seeing all these cool people walking around with their cool armor and engage being like, oh man, how do I get that? That's what I remember when I was first starting. That's when so many of these old heads like me, myself, Asmongold, McConnell, Preach, we remember those things. Those are cool moments that define the game and help bring us and suck us in because you want that gear, and that gives you something to work towards. When you just have these things taking place in a chat window or in a trade window, something like that, you don't see it as much. You're not engaged as much, and especially nowadays when you have these different other systems that we'll get to later in another video, I'm sure, because this one's going on forever. It just changes the whole dynamic of the game. It makes it less social and more focused on the individual player rather than the whole community of players in the world that you're in. We'll watch a few more minutes of this, and then I'm gonna stop the video here. Or is it stop the video there?
I think we left out one thing though. Be a Drakthir, go to Dragon Isles. Can I have a dragon?
What's the fantasy of dragons if not soaring over the lands? And so we're really excited.
Never mind. We're gonna stop here because in the next video we're going to go and cover this. Because I have a ton of thoughts about this, and I'm not gonna talk as much. We're just gonna let it play in the next one because I talked again a lot in this one. There's just so much going on, but we're gonna go over more of it in detail then, and I'm just gonna let it play out for the most part and then talk about it. So with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed my rants. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you disagree. Hit the like button. Hit the subscriber button. Share it everywhere. Get the word out. Let's start talking about it and having a conversation and a dialogue. Because again, this stuff matters. We need more people talking about it. Blizzard needs to know that we're watching, that we're listening, and that we're going to make sure we're being heard. Unlike in the past, where they said they've heard us, and they never really heard us. So, moving forward, let's make sure that they do. So let's all be talking about it and sending our feedback to them directly. Alright guys, I hope you all enjoyed. I will catch you in the next one. See you guys.